Greetings, peace, and love. Today I wanted to go over the Moorish and the part and parcel because there's always been Moors that try to claim it was part and parcel. But right here in 1901 we have, it is possible that the announcement that the Moorish Sultanate has become part and parcel of France's African dependencies will tend to still further weaken the present Villaverde cabinet at Madrid. Now we know France had the French protectorate over the Moorish Empire where they was colonizing. So when Noble Ali speaks of, or Moorish America in regards to the United States, and he's speaking of part and parcel, is he speaking about the United States as colonizing Moorish America? Just like here France was colonizing, so they are part and parcel. The Moorish Sultanate has become part and parcel of France's African dependencies, will tend to still further weaken the present Villaverde cabinet at Madrid. So Moors, you need to go study the Villaverde cabinet at Madrid. Was that positive or negative to the Moorish mission? We're going to go ahead and go through the whole reading. It's not that long. And part and parcel right here in 1901, this puts to rest the question about part and parcel and part and parcel. You can't show anything that has Moorish with part and parcel except for the Moors that decided to put it there. Show before that, like I'm showing here in 1901, Morocco bound. Prospect of the removal of a blot from the face of the old world. Lord Salisbury was to declare that the question which would bring on the long expected and much dreaded outbreak of a war between the great powers of the old world would be in connection neither with China, Egypt, yet nor the Balkans nor Asia Minor, but Morocco, of far greater import than the much discussed Eastern question, was in his opinion the Moorish problem. I repeat, the Moorish problem. And they also called it the great white man's burden. They wanted the location of the land for the commerce, but they also wanted the resources. But the Moors was not trying to abandon it and lay down and acquiesce. So they had to keep killing and killing. It was a problem to them. And it is no secret that several times during the last 10 years, certain of the European governments, notably England and France, have been on the verge of a war about Morocco. The last crisis of this kind being when 3 years ago Great Britain threatened to occupy Tangier in the event of France seizing Tafayette. Oh, he's putting his hand in the cookie jar, so I want my hand in the cookie jar too. The report which reaches us from Europe to the effect that France and Great Britain have come to a debate, understanding on the subject of Morocco, constitutes therefore the disappearance of one of the darkest clouds on the political horizon of Europe, and an increased assurance of the maintenance of peace. Yeah, right. It is true that the term, peace between them, but not the ones they're colonizing. And this is 1901, and look to today, these days and times, they're still warring over the Moorish Empire among themselves. It is true that the terms of the agreement between England and France on the subject of Morocco have not yet been made public, nor has any official announcement been made of the convention. But the delay is said to be due to the desire of both governments concerned to obtain the approval thereto of Germany, that of Italy and Russia, having already been secured. It is improbable in the extreme that the Kaiser will offer any serious objections, and the only power which is certain to manifest its displeasure is Spain, which having a foothold on Ceuta and elsewhere on the Moorish soil, I repeat, on the Moorish soil, has always regarded Morocco as destined in course of time to come beneath its sway, and to constitute a nucleus of another colonial empire to take the place of the one lost 1898. Spain is well known to have set her heart upon Morocco, and has on several occasions been only prevented from undertaking the conquest thereof by France and by England, and it is impossible that the announcement that the Moorish Sultan has become part and parcel of France's African dependency will tend to still further weaken the present Villaverde cabinet at Madrid. So you'll have to go study the Villaverde Cabinet of Madrid. For Silvior Silvalez has just made public at Madrid that the true reason of his mysterious resignation of the premiership last summer was that of financial policy, inaugurated by Silfior Villaverde, then Minister of the Treasury, rendered it impossible for him to comply with the naval and military requirements demanded by France as the condition of her establishing an offensive and defensive alliance with Spain. Remember, we already did the demonstration where the so-called U.S. citizens was going over helping Spain in the Foreign Legion and coming back, and they lost their so-called U.S. citizenship because they gave allegiance to Spain. And we're speaking about the Moorish Empire. The Spanish Foreign Legion is what it was. When Selvalès does not actually say so, yet he leaves it to be inferred from his utterance that had that alliance with France has been concluded upon which he had set his heart and to which he had devoted all his energies in statesmanship. Spain's claim to the reversion of Morocco would have been received consideration at Paris, in that even if she had not received the whole of the Moorish Empire, she would at any rate have been afforded a moiety thereof. Moiety. As matters stand now, it is improbable that she will receive any compensation whatever, while nothing precise and definite is known as yet concerning the character of the concessions made by France to England in return for the latter's consent to the virtual annexation of the Moorish Empire to Algeria, and regarding which all sorts of stories are current. Annexation, that means extinguishing of the nationality. We went over that. It cannot be denied that the cause of civilization in this particular corner of the dark continent, having continued to all intents and purposes unchanged for 1200 years past, Morocco has in fact been a standing disgrace to the old world powers, a blot on their civilization, and the only reason why such a state of affairs has been allowed to exist was because of the mutual jealousies of England, France, Italy, and Spain, lest any one power should, by intervening, obtain predominant influence in eventual possession of Morocco. Now that England and France, the two principal nations to be considered in the matter, have come to an understanding about the matter, and the rivalries which have prevailed heretofore no longer exist. Yeah, right. The Sultanate of Morocco may be expected to emerge from its gloomy depths of barbarism and to develop into an enlightened and progression a portion of northern Africa as Algeria, Tunis, and Egypt. It is perfectly true that some very guarded denials have been made of the announcement that France is about to take possession of Morocco, but they are denials susceptible of serious interpretation, and the fact remains that England is quietly withdrawing all her officers in the Moorish service. Remember, we did the reading about in the minutes saying that England had to let go of all they lost jurisdiction, the same as the U.S., the same as all these de factos, beginning with Sir Harry McLean. Remember, we was just speaking about him, and here he come popping up. England is quietly withdrawing all her officers in the Moorish service, beginning with Sir Harry McLean, who for a number of years has been commander-in-chief of the Moorish army. We was just going over him with the Moorish mission. In them meeting King Edward VII, Sir Harry McLean was a Scottish chieftain. They said that he was a chief of the Moorish army, but he was placed in the seat because he was in. It says England here. However, he was let go and with ransom by the British. We're almost done. On the other hand, France is mobilizing a large body of troops on the Algerian frontier, while another force of about 20,000 men is being assembled in Touton. The Moors was deep though, so they was going to need every man that they could get. They said they was dropping bombs on Moors' heads, quote unquote. They said Moors' heads are harder than bombs. They said the bombs wasn't doing nothing to them, quote unquote, to be landed early next month at Wahadiya on the Atlantic coast, 90 miles from Fez. It may be added that the inception of the understanding between England and France on the subject of Morocco dates from the time of King Edward's visit to Paris. We were speaking about when the Moorish mission went and met at King Edward VII, and that the satisfactory manner in which Lord Lansdowne has conducted the negotiation to the satisfactory settlement is understood to have attained in the eyes of his sovereign for the mistakes which he made as Secretary of State for War, and which have lately been laid bare by the War Inquiry Commission.